about 3, 2, now. Ooh. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Our Anime Podcast, and we're talking about the new episode of Attack on Titan that just dropped. It's episode 13 of the final season. Episode, what are we on? 72, 3, question mark? Of the whole series, I think. 72. Thank you. Yeah. And it was a pretty interesting episode, and I guess we'll have a lot to say about it. But first, I would just want to say that I finally put all the episodes onto Spotify, onto all of our MP3 platforms, so now they're listenable outside of YouTube. And if you are listening on those platforms, then just know that we are actually recording these live on our YouTube channel, so check those out if you're interested. They'll come out a day early on YouTube, and then the next day on streaming platforms. We've got chat on screen. We're talking with the chat all the time, so it's a lot of fun. So yeah, but if you don't come, that's okay. Thank you for listening anyway. But anyway,
just keep moving forward. That's all we ask.
Keep moving forward, and yeah. So today it's just me, Maz, and it's Tay. Tay is here. And we've got
you, Maz, and Tay.
Yeah, me, Maz, and Tay, and also AJ, Aleczandxr.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry. I just want to say sorry in advance if anything happens in this episode. Like we are really annoying people. And the thing is, Shaw's usually around Tay. Shaw is like Tay's handler. Like, if he says something stupid, then Shaw's usually here to be like, Tay, stop that. But me, I encourage him. Like, I think it's funny.
Yeah,
I
was warned.
Yeah. So if you just get uncomfortable, you can just leave and be like, I don't know those guys. I wasn't there. No hard feelings. We understand.
I have a high tolerance, so I think I'll be okay. But
okay.
No,
we might test that.
No promises that I'll laugh at the jokes.
Yeah, it's like if I am Eren, constantly moving forward with these puns, Shaw's like Armin, and Maz is like Flock.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's a really clear analogy.
Oh man, so today's episode, wow. First of all, thank you, Attack on Titan, for giving us a PSA on the dangers of alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Never trust what you're gonna drink, especially wine. Maybe we should have been in prohibition. This is all a little sus. If only the real devil of Paradise Island was the alcohol, I think. Is what we've learned.
It was the real enemy all along.
the real enemy. The wine was the real enemy. We drank along the way.
So wait. So, are both of you anime only, or I don't remember?
I am anime only.
Oh, okay.
I have been reading the manga, so.
Oh, okay. So I'm curious if Maz saw this coming before this episode with the wine.
No, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Because there have been hints here and there, but I feel like it's only really obvious if you're like a source reader, because they would keep showing you them drinking wine over and over again. And there was that one scene, I want to say a couple episodes ago, where they showed them the high-ranking officers yelling at a Marley and being like, "Fetch us more wine," Thor, Game of Thrones style kind of deal.
Mm.
It is pretty subtle. I don't think most people who aren't source material readers wouldn't have been able to catch it. I don't think, but I was just curious.
So Maz, as an anime only, what did you think of today's episode?
I thought this was an absolute fire, heat, hot episode.
All right,
full analysis. Thanks for watching, everyone.
All right, so I know, if you can't handle the heat, gotta get out of the kitchen. But we went to the kitchen today. We went to the restaurant.
Yes.
So what did you think of the scenes in the restaurant today with with the reveal that now everyone knows, whereas the Oleans only knew that Gabby was the one who killed Sasha. Now everyone knows in the restaurant that Gabby was the one who killed Sasha.
Yeah, that was all really exciting. I loved both sides of it. I loved Gabby just getting absolutely fucking, well, I wouldn't say she got owned. Instead, Falco got owned. Poor Falco. Falco did nothing wrong. He didn't do anything. He didn't deserve this. Once again, Gabby is just ruining everything around her. But then, of course, Sasha's parents are just like, you know what? Like Sasha was a hunter. They had this whole analogy about her being a hunter, and it's like, these things just kind of happen. It's just the natural order of things, I suppose, and like, who are we to continue it? Like, who are we to, say that killing Gabby would make things right? And I like that. That was nice. Yeah, I don't know. Like, everything about that whole about the restaurant was just fantastic.
It's like for a conflict like that, it's sort of got to reach some people eventually for it to stop. It's sort of got to reach someone like Sasha's father and mother for it to come to a sort of end. And yeah, I thought it was done in a really beautiful way in the manga and the anime as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of neat parallels in a lot of the conversations.
Yeah, and Attack on Titan, is a very subtle show. Always has been, with a lot of subtext that makes it really hard to dig out the meanings of it. And so, when Gabby's like, oh, like kill this, kill that, and Armin's like, kill this, kill that. You remind me of someone. And then Eren walks in. I was like, man, I wonder who he's talking about. I wonder where the parallel is here.
And there's, I guess you mentioned that about Gabby getting owned, and that Falco got owned instead, but she kind of got her logic from a few episodes ago shoved in her face, because there's a big parallel between her conversation with Falco prior to getting on the airship and eventually killing Sasha, and her pleads with Nicolo to not kill Falco, whereas Falco had learned, I guess, in his little scene in the basement with Eren and Reiner, that they had their homes destroyed before attacking them. So he mentioned that to her, and she said, "Did you see that?" And he said no, and then she said, "I didn't either." Which, there's tons of meaning attached to that, but for this purpose, it just comes down to the fact that, she didn't see it. All she knows is what's right in front of her and how that affected her home. And that was her logic there. And then in this episode, Nicolo's threatening to kill Falco, and she says, I killed Sasha because they destroyed my home. And he goes, I don't care who was first. All I care about is, my pain and what I want to do about it. So I thought that was a really cool, I guess, a bit of mirroring. Is pretty clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think, Tay? You've been asking. You wanted to know what I want to know what you think now.
Well, first of all, when they were yelling at Gabby, I was just thinking, like, you ain't Falco, and the happy feet flip from the classic Smash days, because like he got smashed over the head, and I was like, oh, wombo comboed there.
I get that reference.
Thank you. Happy feet wombo combo. Where are you at? And so we were, there were a couple of memes here and there, but as a source reader, I really appreciated I usually don't like being a source reader for a lot of anime, just because I like the presentation that anime gives, especially when it's a great adaptation. For example, something like Haikyuu, I really appreciate, like, week to week getting the thrill of like what's going on and like each point and each game, and getting it through Production IG's fantastic adaptation. And while I feel like with Attack on Titan, especially with like some of the earlier stuff with the plot twists, I feel like I really like the presentation that Wit Studio was giving. For this season in particular, because it's more, especially this stretch, that's more nuanced and more slow. I like having the knowledge of like what comes later, even within the same episode, because watching and like hearing Nicolo's panic over Jean and Connie almost drinking the poisoned wine, or what he suspects is the poisoned wine, and like saying these things that he doesn't believe, but that he's willing to do and willing to get that abuse because he cares for them. And you really get to see, like, you know, even within the same context of the episode, the kind of struggles that he must have been going through mentally, the hurdles that he's been going through. And it's a similar parallel to what we've gone through other characters with Reiner, with Eren. And now, like, it's not just like the main named characters who we've known since season 1, but also Nicola, who we've only known for like a handful of episodes now, who we get to see like struggle with this as well. And even though he is a Marleyan Eldian, he comes here and he's like siding with the people of Paradise, and he's wanting to help them, and he feels terrible for what happened to Sasha. Or I don't even know if he's Eldian or if he might just purely be Marleyan. But
I think he's just pure Marleyan, and he's just a prisoner of war, basically.
It's always hard to tell with everyone. It's almost like you can't tell based on how someone looks, what they are. Huh? Wow, Attack on Titan ending racism. You heard it here first. And so I really like that. And then, just like the slow dawning realization of people on like when like some of the wine goes into Falco's mouth. You know, like he like was in such a rage, he hits him over the head with the bottle of wine, but then immediately he regrets it and he's like, please rinse his mouth out because like he got some of that wine in there. And like it explains the zoom in on the wine, which if you handle other contexts, you'd be like, why are they zooming in so much on his mouth?
Yeah. as the drip slowly inches in towards his mouth. Yeah,
it's like, oh no, underage drinking, call the cops. Call the military police, we gotta break up the party.
Put a black shade over it to censor it. We can't have that.
Yeah, we're Akudama Drive now. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed this episode. I feel like some people have been, I haven't heard as much grumbling the last couple or especially with this episode. I feel like mostly because people are probably still grumbling about the latest Attack on Titan manga chapter that just came out. So they used up all their grumbling.
Oh yeah, people are mad at the manga now.
Yeah.
Man, the Attack on Titan fan base really fucking hates Attack on Titan.
It's really interesting to see because you know, and we've mentioned this before, but I wasn't always the biggest Attack on Titan fan. So like I've usually had like opposite reactions to most of the fan base. So when people were saying like Raw, Goat, Kino, Zenith of the Medium, like Peak Fiction, I was like, this is okay, I guess. But the last couple of chapters I've been like, whoa, this is really good. So you know, take my opinion for what it's worth. But you know, we do have someone who is a Raw, Kino, Goat. And that's AJ. So AJ, your thoughts on today's episode then, and as a source reader, what you thought?
I really liked it. No, basically the same sort of sentiment. It adapted a lot of the scenes really well. It built tension really well. You know, same sort of really good directing that we've seen throughout the season. Some nice little shots here and there, and there have been a lot of rearrangements, I guess, in the second half of this season. So they brought some stuff back with Zeke and Levi that happened earlier chronologically. So I was happy about that.
Wait, I think this was like people were complaining about like a conversation they had that got cut out a couple episodes ago, right? Okay, so this was it.
Yes. Yeah, that was so. There's a conversation in episode 10, I believe it was, with Zeke and Kiyomi Azumabito from the person who allied with Parody, the woman
from Not Japan, from Hizuru.
Yeah. And in the anime, he just talks about the ODM gear, but they go deeper into his motivations there. Sort of a bit of backstory. There's 2 or 3 pages of some pretty important stuff, and they just cut that out. I think at this point they've just completely cut it, and I think that's that for that information. And then in episode 11, I believe, there was the conversation with Levi and Zeke was supposed to happen then, chronologically, but they rearranged it for this episode.
Okay.
So it's good that was back because that was really important. It's kind of a shame that we missed out on some stuff, but the majority or a good amount of the stuff that they go over in that conversation that was cut will be reiterated later on. So it's not a huge loss. And I think the more important conversation was kept in.
Refresh my memory real quick. AJ, is that a baseball conversation that got cut? Related?
Not really.
Okay. I'm thinking of something else then.
Yeah,
it's been
if they
so
cut
long,
that, they'd have a huge problem on their hands if they cut that.
I was just gonna say I was reading this part when it was publishing, so it's been a little while. I should probably reread it at some point. But
yeah,
on the other hand,
there's some pretty iconic lines that I'm kind of disappointed that didn't make it into the anime. But I don't know, 2/3 or so of the information is either going to be revealed again later, or you can sort of get through subtext. So it's not a huge deal. But yeah, I think that the idea was to sort of keep Zeke shrouded in that mystery for people who don't know the source material, and then sort of ramp it up exponentially as we get towards the end of the season. Which I don't know, maybe it's working. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think if I felt like if they had the conversation about Ragako a little earlier. Rakugo, yeah. If they had their conversation about the goated anime of winter 2016, and in fact maybe 2016 as a whole, and Shogen Roku Rakugo Shinju, a little earlier, then the conversation about the wine and the paralysis that they assumed would come if exposed to Zeke's spinal fluid would have a little bit more weight. Whereas it being revealed in the same episode where we're like, wait, it was a lie. It seemed like totally a little rushed, and it was like it didn't have as much impact because you're like, you've only known it for 5 minutes, so you're like, all right, like I guess that had some impact.
Yeah, I think it just happens in a more natural sequence in the manga. It's not a huge deal, but they've definitely made some decisions on Zeke for this season to, diverge a little bit. So, but I don't know. How have you thought about Zeke as an anime only, Moz?
Oh God, I don't know what to think of Zeke, and I guess that's what they want me to think. They don't want me to have any clear feelings about him because it's still up in the air, like which way he's going, like who, like what his motivations are and who he's really allying with. But I guess I like that a lot. I like that. He's just so mysterious, and it's just like I don't know. It's like anything could happen with him.
Anything could happen.
And yeah, so I guess comparatively, by this point in the manga, he'd showed his cards a little bit. So I think it's just a creative decision to try to, keep him shrouded in mystery as long as possible. So it'll work better for some people, not as good for others, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just trying not to speak on Zeke generally because the last time I did on a podcast, I felt like I accidentally spoiled it, but it was like one of those spoils where it was like not really a spoil if you were like paying really close attention when Zeke is talking with Bertolt and Ryder on the wall. And I'm like, oh, it's Zeke. And people were like, who? Well, that's his... like, oh, fuck.
Oh, and from season 3?
Yeah, like from season 3.
Oh, that's not a spoiler.
Yeah, it's not. Thank you. Moz defended me as well, but some people were saying it was a spoiler. So I'm just being extra careful these days. But yeah, it's the mystery is definitely there, and I really liked how they presented that conversation with Levi and Zeke in today's episode, where Levi's coming to grips with the fact that every decision he made was with the idea that Eren was going to be the hope for humanity, and I love the way they superimposed the images of literally every single squad member he's ever had who died in their quest to keep Eren alive.
That was really
how many hundreds of people and like some of his closest friends willingly giving their lives up just so Eren could have the chance to live, because they put all their hopes and dreams on to Eren. Like, you saw Erwin there, you saw the old Levi squad there, like with Petra. You saw all these like scout members throughout the years, and Levi's just like, fuck, what did they all die for? If like Eren isn't going to be the hope for humanity. It reminded me of that scene when they're getting chased by the female Titan in season 1. And Eren has to make the choice, and Levi's like, no one's going to know what the right choice is. You don't know what the right choice is. You just have to make the choice that you think is the right one and have to live with it. And now Levi is having to live with that choice of putting all his hopes into Eren. Where back then Eren put all his hopes in and like trust into Levi's squad mates. And now Levi, instead of this, they're paying for the decision to put their hope in the squad mates and not the squad mates, but in Eren instead.
Levi is one of the most complex and interesting characters in Attack on Titan, and yet his personality is always the same. And his personality is fuck Eren.
For some shippers, taken literally too.
Oh.
True.
Yes. But yeah, I like that at the end of all this, he's just like, God damn it, I fucking hate Eren.
Remember? I mean, it was just a couple episodes when he was like, you have such a fucking kickable face. Like, which he does. I think, I don't think anyone's going to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
No, Levi, I think he's got to be the person who's lost the most from everything that Eren's done throughout the series.
Yeah.
He's definitely like right up there, if not the most. So I think it's hard to actually present the weight of how much he's lost just by following the hope that Eren represents and everything that he is. And in the manga, they do it really well. Sort of hard to describe how they present it, but I was curious about how they do it in this episode. And that's, like you mentioned, those superimposed shots, that was really cool. It was really effective.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I feel like people, when they talk about great characters, they get so caught up in character development, and they're like, oh, like this character needs to have like a complete 180 on life to be like a really well-written character. Mm-hmm. But kind of like what you said, Moss, Levi's kind of just been a rock this entire time. Like, no matter what happens, he just, his whole thing is that he keeps moving forward with the same idea that Eren is the hope for humanity. And no matter how many lives are lost, no matter how many people die, like he just has to keep moving forward with what he thinks is the right decision. That's him. That's his personality. What is the right decision? I have to stick with it and commit to it, and I can't have any regrets.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of just been like a rock for everyone.
It's too bad Shaw's not here, because she's one of the foremost Levi stans.
Yeah. I know. You'd love to see it. Short King, rise up.
But he's in a bit of a. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say something about Shaw and Levi being short, but I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be mean and bully Shaw, but thank you, Tay. You took the first shot.
Oh, is Shaw she short? I didn't know.
Shaw's like she's like 5'2", 5'3", so
okay.
Yeah, short king, Shaw King, short king. It works. But yeah, you were gonna say AJ?
I think I forgot.
Oh, your memory moved forward without you.
Yeah, I did.
Short-term memory.
I think it was. Yeah? I think it had to do with but now knowing that a lot of that wine has been poisoned, and that a lot of the guards around Levi have been drinking it, it puts him in a bit of a precarious situation. So. Interesting to see how that plays out.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just Nicolo's suspicion. I bet Flock was just bluffing, and Zeke told everyone if they if they get exposed to spinal fluid, they freeze up. Why would he lie about something like that?
Yeah.
It's there's someone else who played a kind of important role in this. Who, I don't know, he's pretty divisive. So I was wondering what you guys thought about Flock.
King Flock.
Yeah, a pretty important character, Flock, in this episode. Yeah, fuck Flock.
Hashtag Flock did nothing wrong.
Is that the meme? Are we going with that? I mean, a lot of people say Gabby did nothing wrong, and I think most people can agree with that. Sure, Gabby did nothing wrong. Did Flock do nothing wrong?
You know, for me, it's always really interesting seeing that Flock ended up becoming a Jaegerist because he was so against Eren and Mikasa and Armin when they chose to revive Arwen. Not Erwin, Armin over Erwin in the Serum Bowl.
Yeah.
And so that juxtaposition always threw me off. The fact that like he turned around, because I felt like he probably would have like held that grudge for a very long time. Especially because he was the one who found Erwin. Like carrying a dead body seems like it would be very difficult. Carrying a dead body after you saw like hundreds of your friends just get like mown down by a giant monkey throwing rocks, and then you come over, you bring Erwin's body, like half of it on your back. He's like bleeding all over you. You like scale a building with your bare hands, trying to get him to Levi so he can become a Titan. And then they go with Armin, and you're like, who the fuck is Armin? Kind of was Flock, but you know, not
interesting
anymore.
To compare. Yeah, it's interesting to compare where they left us off pre-time skip with Flock. Having survived, he's a self-proclaimed coward. He himself admits that he's, the biggest coward out there, and that it's basically a cruel joke that he was the one person to survive that onslaught. But and then it is curious to see that he's latched onto Eren in this way, but seeing that the influence that Erwin had, it's what made him realize that his purpose for having lived through that has to be to lead Eldia, or to help Eldia obtain freedom in some way. And the best way that he can see that happening is through some sort of devil that Erwin represented. So I think Eren learning about the whatever he learned about in the memories, whether he learned anything about the future, whatever change it enacted in him led to him being someone completely cutthroat, pragmatic, in the way that Flock, always imagined this devil had to be. So I think it is interesting that he was against him so starkly before the time skip, and then with him after the time skip. But considering what Eren, justifiably turned into, I think it's pretty understandable that he latched onto that almost sort of parasitically. I always thought that was kind of a subtle and interesting way to go about his character. And there always are going to be people like Flock in situations like that. So, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm glad that they give that sort of perspective in the story, and that he has at least a semi-prominent role, even though he's got like the most dislikable shit-eating grin that you'll ever see.
That's why we superimposed the Jared Leto Joker over his face.
Yeah, that's a lot more attractive.
But yeah, I like him. Most people don't, but I'm a semi-Flock fan.
I said fuck Flock just to kind of lean into the meme. I don't have any strong feelings about him right now. For me, it's hard to keep up with everything. I feel like I need to go through the entire series again just to be like, just to see the full picture. Because it's like I'm focusing on every single individual episode, and it's like, oh god, so much is happening.
You can't see the sheep for the flock.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. With Flock, I definitely think he's interesting with everything that's going on, because he was the person to remind me, or correct me if I'm wrong. He was the person who was like part of the military police, but after all the shit that went down, decided to join the scouts, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, like he bought into Eren's
Yeah,
propaganda prior to the mission.
right. He was like all like, oh, like I'm living this comfy life, but I can't just like sit on my laurels and have this comfy life. Like I need to do something. Like I need to like do something for humanity. I can't just like sit back on my laurels. And he's continuing with that in this.
He's a realist.
Yeah.
Basically, in any love him or hate him, he's gonna do what he believes is right. He's a really honest person. So I guess you've got to admire that.
I forgot that he was part of the military police because that makes it interesting that he was basically talking shit on them in this episode.
Yeah. He's wrong, but he thinks he's right. That's what makes him dangerous, as a famous kid from Brooklyn once said. Or Queens, sorry. Anyway, I'm referencing Captain America Civil War for anyone who's wondering at home.
Okay, I did not know that at all.
I just went through an MCU rewatch when I probably should have just been rereading Attack on Titan. It would have been a better use of my time. But speaking of time, it feels like they're kind of running out of time, or at least the the Eldians are against the Jaegerists, because it looks like things are coming to a head, and we end on Eren doing his like usual threatening thing. I feel like he like Eren went to business school and only learned one thing, which is he cuts his hand and he starts bleeding, and he's like, "You don't agree to my terms, I turn into a Titan." And that's how he approaches the negotiating table. And that's how he talks.
Effective.
It is, it's the best negotiating tactic. Because everyone knows what he wants, carry a big stick and speak quietly, and he's carrying like 3 sticks at once right now.
True.
So what do you guys think, or especially Moz, what do you think of Eren showing up here and what he might say to Mikasa and Armin?
I have no idea what he's going to say to them, but I do like how he just kind of showed up, just like, sup. And that was it. No fanfare, no big OST. In fact, there was no OST at all. And he's just like, yeah, I just need to talk to you guys. Drip, 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 drip.
I'm bleeding out, but it's fine. You don't need to get a Band-Aid or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I think they did a bit of I don't know if it's hinting, but they were really expressive with his with the final shot of the episode, with him sort of looking at them across the table. I thought it was drawn really well. Like, it was pretty there's a lot of not grief, but I guess conflict and sadness on his face.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a really interesting way to present him and sort of end the episode on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's questions, but you can see that he's not, he's not completely heartless.
Mm-hmm.
He's conflicted. I understand.
And he's sitting across from Gabby too, which again, Attack on Titan, very very subtle with its symbolism and imagery.
Oh yeah, I forgot Gabby was there. Lol.
So yeah, there's Gabby, who almost got like stabbed to death from the one girl, understandably so.
Oh man, that one girl like just running out. Oh, that was great. That was awesome.
You know what's crazy? Like I feel like whoever's teaching the warrior candidates is not doing a very good job with regards to like how to read the room, because Annie, Bertold, Reiner did a very good job of like blending in. But Gabby's not even trying. Gabby is like the most like Gabby could star in a harem manga or anime, as like the dense lead. Like, this guy's like clearly giving like dropping hints that he's very distraught over the fact that like Sasha died, and she's like, "Yeah, I fucking murdered
yeah,
him.
I killed her, haha!" That was great.
Yo, she was fucking suffering like crazy, bro. Best kill of my life, man. And meanwhile, he's like, "You motherfucker! First, you're making my food go cold. Next, you
that was the first unforgivable scene. His food was going cold.
Bro, he put so much time and effort into that food.
He just loved making that food
for free. He wasn't even getting paid for it. bro. And then he's like, it's like, you come to me the day of the memorial of my lover's death, and you tell me you killed her? God.
It may just have been the one class she failed. Who knows? Because Falco was all right at it.
That's true. Falco was like, oh shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gabby.
Yeah, Falco
No
picked
one's
up on this. Falco knew what was going on. He's just like, Gabby,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up already.
She's like, no, I'm not gonna shut up. In fact, I've only gotten started on this cycle of revenge. I'm like on a fucking Peloton. The cycle of revenge is going so fast. And then he just hits her upside the head with the wine. Or I guess Falco. He aims for her.
Yeah. Yeah, Falco takes the hit.
Yeah.
Because Gabby is the new main character. She can't die.
She can't die. She's the Eren. But yeah.
So
I killed her. Isn't that poggers? That is pretty poggers. Thanks, Block.
Collapsed. More like collapsed flock.
Oh.
You're welcome. Anyway, AJ, you were gonna say?
So I guess just to mention it, because there aren't, I guess it was sort of an indirect hint that the sort of wine revelation that a lot of the characters that are kind of minor and to the side, but that we've gotten to know, may have drank the wine as well. So it's sort of like an indirect prospect of not only the military power of Paradis, but people like potentially Pixis or any other official in the military. There's a big, they're a pretty big risk of turning into Titans. So that's something I never realized when I first read it. Just how far, or I guess I realized it, but I didn't, conceptualize it. Just how far-reaching this plan would go. So it's just it's a really, really sort of pivotal moment, I guess, in this conflict here.
Alcohol kills.
Exactly. And I guess it's just sort of like it's got the impression of the first domino sort of effect that interesting to see where it'll go from here.
I like how Hanja's like, oh, like, we come to talk to you, and like we know that like Pixis was basically like surrender to their demands, just like go with whatever they say. Fox like, no, we won't negotiate with you. And
fuck you guys.
I just expected Hanja to be like, bro, no, like, I swear, we want to do everything you say. And Fox like, no, you fuckers, you're not allowed to. That would have been fun, but no, Hanja's still great. I don't know. It feels interesting how everyone ended up at the same restaurant, and it will be interesting to find out who knew about this plan and who didn't. Because Uyankopon, it seems like he didn't know, but who can you trust? Who can you not trust at this point?
Yeah. So I guess
there's definitely some segregation.
Involving Oyankopon?
Oh boy. I didn't. I swear I didn't realize that.
They really wanted to make sure that all the Marleyan soldiers were separate but equal when discussing this plan.
Exactly.
So I guess we should talk about the one of the biggest bombshells of this, that Yelena was the one who set up the whole wine thing. So actually, fuck Yelena in this whole thing.
Yeah,
because she did everything she could to like earn the trust of everybody, and then she's like, nope, actually, I'm poisoning all of you.
Yeah, no, fuck Yelena. I'm gonna be honest. In the manga, I kept getting Yelena and Flock confused because it's in black and white and they have the exact same haircut. So I'm glad they are very differentiated in the anime. That is one thing I will say is definitely an improvement. But yeah, it is crazy just how far her loyalty goes. For Zeke, and how much they must have been planning for this, and the fact that this was a thing that they've done. And once again, for all Parady's things they know, uh, they are actually more, I guess, screwed by what they don't know. Um, I mean, just earlier on, right? They were like, "Oh, like there's that one great clip when they're like, so what's a nation?" As they're like just negotiating with Hizuru, and now Nicolo's like that's how Zeke was able to take down a country one or like a whole city one day, just like having a bunch of tines spring out from the ground all of a sudden. And if they knew more about world affairs, I'm sure that's something that they would have known. But because of their ignorance, because of what they don't know, Zeke is just like, plan worked once, might as well do it again.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Yelena's interesting to me. I guess we haven't gotten a ton of substance for her, but we've gotten a decent amount. And the line she gave, I don't know if it was last episode or the one before it, where we're watching two brothers change history, and I just want a good seat, or I just want to watch it from the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cool line to me, and just like an interesting way to frame her perspective, and I guess where her loyalties lie and what her motivations are. So, along with her obvious allegiance to or grudge against Marley for imprisoning her in the first place. Yeah, she's definitely interesting. But I guess fuck her just to join in.
Yeah, it's I was talking with a few friends who were saying that it's been tough to follow Attack on Titan because, or at least this season, because it's like there's a lack of a true enemy.
Mm.
Like are the people we thought were the good guys are the bad guys, and then the bad guys are the good guys, and then it's like everyone's just a gray guy. And then it's like, man, for some, for a lot of people who just want like an easy to watch shonen with like lots of fights and stuff, it's can be difficult to parse. But I think Yelena makes for a very easy bad guy to hate. Just being like, all right, clearly there's some shit going around. Let's I think we could easily pile up some stuff against her. Flock too. Flock with a
Yeah.
shitty grin. Uh,
Uh, it's really dense, but there are definitely, even though no one's, I guess, completely evil, there are definitely no shortage of people to root against if you really want to find reasoning for it. Even Eren right now.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Although maybe Mikasa and Armin talk him out of all this. He's still. I mean, the plan is what like Zeke's plan is he needs to talk with Eren, right? And like they need to like touch or hold hands or like do like an Fate Stay Night scene together in order to like summon whatever mystical power.
They don't have to go quite that far, but there's got to be some sort of contact.
Right. I think they
And that
mentioned. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was just saying that's what they're trying to prevent by sticking him in the forest of the giant trees and all that.
Right. Which, as names go for forests, is a pretty dope one. Lets you know everything about those forests and the trees that are inside.
Hell yeah.
Uh, I was also gonna say, with regards to Zeke and Aaron, uh, they mentioned a very specific and shitty rail system prevalent in New York City when they talked about paths, which I know on this podcast we've talked a couple times and hinted about. But Moz, did it register when you're like, oh, this is the thing that like source readers won't shut up about when Zeke mentioned paths?
No, I don't think
Fair
so.
enough. I was really shocked when he mentioned paths like that early on. It was like the first scene. I was like, wait, are we doing this right here, right now? Uh,
In which episode are you talking about?
this episode.
Oh, they mentioned paths earlier on.
Ah, did they mention
Uh,
what happens with paths? No, right? They just
no,
mentioned the
I don't.
existence of paths.
I think they just talked about the broad concepts, but it goes back to even Emir's episode, one of her
Mm-hmm.
episodes in season two. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's when they introduced it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they'll dig into that. You'd assume.
Right. Yeah. The path is shit, by the way. If you ever come to New York City, don't take the path.
Hmm.
It's pretty shit. Yeah, on my command, I set the power of the Titans to the coordinate via paths.
Wait, what's this in New York?
Oh, there's a subway system called Path. It's a rail system called Path.
Oh,
Get around through New York through the paths. So
okay.
it's a very localized joke that maybe one other person in chat, if that would get it. Yeah, vlog is like, no one got that reference. Unlucky. That's why we needed Shaw to represent Short Kings and also the shitty path.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. So we're coming up on, well, I think there's 3 episodes left confirmed. They said this season would be 16 episodes.
Yep,
Yes.
3 left.
So I don't think they're gonna get to 122.
No chance.
Yeah, the rumor is they're ending on 116.
Right.
It
So
won't go much further than, I think, 117 at a stretch, and like that's the farthest they'll be able to go for sure.
Which
right.
makes me wonder, like, what are they going to do after this? Is there going to be a final season part 2? Is that allowed? Can they do that?
Confessions Part 2. But Usher.
They really just shot themselves in the foot by announcing right away after the 3rd season that it was the final one to
Yeah, that was not a good move.
Gintama did something similar, right? Like they had the final season and then they had the final movie.
Okay, but it's Gintama though. Like,
Yeah.
like they can get away with that.
They can just be self-aware about that. Attack on Titan, I think their
have
mistakes are
Eren
much
look
more
at the
clear.
4th wall and be like, "Bro, what happened with this being the final studio? You can't do that."
I don't think so.
Maybe
They're definitely gonna do something, but it's a bit awkward because of their premature announcements.
Mm-hmm. But I heard it was because they wanted the anime to end the same week that the manga ended. It was the original intention.
Really?
I assume that's what
there's-
they were doing because it's
3
close
episodes,
enough.
right? So it'll end we have the 14th, the 21st, and then the 28th-ish, and then the manga ends the first, or we have that first get the chapter the first week of April.
Oh, I thought you meant something else. But yeah, I get what you mean then.
Oh no, not like an erase situation where like they end concurrently and they like show
Yeah,
the
okay. I was gonna say.
time. No. I meant like have it like generally approximate the ending of one to the other so as to maximize as many people to read the manga.
Yeah, it's gonna line up pretty neatly in that case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not like erase, or I think it was Your Lie in April also ended around the same time as the anime did.
Yeah.
So, but we've had other anime and other manga get anime adaptations after the manga's ended. I mean, Demon Slayer just like broke every single fucking record in the history of anime records with Mugen Train, and then they announced season 2, and it's the manga's been over for almost a year now. It feels like.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
they're doing something with Promised Neverland.
They are doing something.
Oh, AJ, are you running for like prime minister or something? Because that was a very political answer.
I'm just stating facts here.
They are doing an adaptation. I haven't seen any of Promised Neverland. Shaw's been yelling at me to not watch it and just read the manga instead, so I think we're gonna do that. But I heard there was a Martha scene, like a Batman v Superman Martha scene.
Yeah, that's the comparison people make. I haven't seen Batman v Superman, so I don't watch movies.
You shouldn't.
I want a bit of meta commentary. We had every intention of doing the Promised Never weekly. Once again, we planned on bringing that back, and then like just one day in December, we're just like randomly, we're just like, you know what, let's just do an Attack on Titan podcast instead, because we were so excited for Attack on Titan. We're like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then at first we actually were planning on doing both Attack on Titan and The Promised Neverland, and then we're just like, you know what, let's not do The Promised Neverland. And thank God we did that. Thank God that's the decision we made, because holy shit.
It was like,
been fun.
we were like, oh man, yeah, we could have drank wine and like like you would drunk watch Promise Neverland. I remember it was like, oh, like we'll give it a couple episodes and then see, and then Shaw's like, guys, they're skipping arcs, like this is terrible,
Yeah.
this is God, it's been
Abort.
fun watching Joey and Shaw have their weekly meltdowns about Promise Neverland. I feel kind of bad. It's like
I would have listened to a podcast about it.
yeah, just let Shaw ramble for an hour. Bring on
Basically.
Joey too. God, that would have been fun. Oh man, but instead we're doing Attack on Titan weekly. Attack on Weekly, the Grumbling, which has been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
3
this week
weeks.
3 more weeks. I feel like the pacing for these, especially the last 2 episodes, has been a little slow. It felt like
Oh yeah, it's definitely been slow.
there's definitely like, especially compared to earlier in the season, we could have this could have all been handled a lot faster, and we could have covered more ground. So I am wondering for what reason they slowed it down. I don't hate the pacing. I don't even think I dislike it. I'm just like curious as to the decision why, in particular, now they've decided to slow it with 3 episodes left in the anime adaptation.
I think maybe they just
Yeah.
wanted to, I don't know, space out the bigger plot points. You know, because I guess like, you know, it's like they had so much going on in the first half of the season, and then they gave us a few episodes to kind of breathe and take it all in, and now they get to start it back up and just go
And then end
full
it.
force go full force until it ends.
I think it's something like that. If you see like the 3rd episode, like the Reiner flashback episode, and you compare that to the pacing of the last few, it's definitely, you know, a huge change in how quickly they're going through the material. But I've been a fan of it personally because I'd much rather them. These are really important, you know, ideas and sensitive ideas. So I'd rather them take their time and give it proper prioritization. And if, you know, it was done for whatever part 2 may be, to leave the bigger stuff to that, then hey, that's cool. It's fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much prefer this to them skipping through or speeding through it a bit too much.
Yeah.
Right. Plus, it gives the people at Polygon a little bit more time to come up with their next article on Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't changed their other one.
It's taken them 4 years. They just keep sharing it over and over again, hoping it'll finally stick. Oh boy. But I don't know. At the end of the day, you know, so much for the wine. I just hope someone eats some of Nicolo's you know, the food he's worked so hard to create for this family. So, in any event, I think that's about it for this week's episode. Unless you guys had any final thoughts.
No, not really. I was kind of quiet, but I might not have gotten across. But this was probably my favorite episode since like episode 6. I really liked it.
Cool.
What about it made it resonate so much with you?
I don't know. It was just a really good episode. Just lots of surprises and lots of cool things happening.
Fair enough.
The next one is covers some of my favorite material, so hopefully the next one will be even
We've
better.
been saying that for like the last 3 weeks. We've been like,
are people some people in the Discord are like getting mad now because they're just like, oh, every week it's I can't wait for next episode, and it's like, I mean, I don't mind it, honestly. It's like I don't mind. It's just like, I don't know.
Well, I haven't been saying it, but now I'm saying it.
yeah,
fine.
trust AJ. Don't trust anyone else. All right, AJ, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast. If for some reason some rando has come across the stream not knowing who you are, how can they find you and your amazing work?
YouTube.com/ALECZANDXR. I make videos about my favorite stories occasionally and talk about them. It's pretty fun. Some people enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
My favorite
check
part
it out
about
if you're
your
interested.
channel is that you have a Patreon that if you sign up for it, lets people know ahead of time what you're working on, what your progress is, and some ideas that you might have and you go through the behind the scenes process for that. So I definitely say if you're a fan of AJ's works, definitely sign up for that. Tune on his Patreon too. Definitely recommend that.
Well, thank you.
And you are also on Twitter, where you are giving great reactions every week to a lot of different things.
Thank you. Yeah, same username.
And you guys,
And, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. Excited to always talk Attack on Titan with you and catch your thoughts. For everyone else at home, you can always find me and Maz on our respective Twitters. If for some reason you don't know that, they're somewhere on the internet, or you can just follow AJ. His thoughts are better than ours. And you can always find, if you came across this episode for the first one and you want to catch up on our backlog, like Maz said at the beginning of the episode, we have the entire backlog of Attack on Weekly and The Grumbling available on Spotify now and wherever podcasts can be found. That we are there, so be sure to check those out. We've been having a lot of fun through this series, and we really appreciate that. So many people have been joining us now that there's only a few episodes left. Really excited to see how this plays out. Until next time, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you again, AJ, for coming on. We'll be back again next week for another episode of Attack on Titan and reacting to that one. Don't miss it, not just because we're awesome, but also because that episode should be pretty spicy.
Ooh.
So, yeah. All right. Thank you all, everyone. Have a good evening and stay healthy. Don't drink too